I'm shocked with myself, to be honest. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't believe I was doing all that, like, especially because my parents weren't into it and what I was doing, and they didn't really like, me DJing and stuff. So like I was like writing fake letters to go and do gigs, and like pretending I was going to see like a school or going to look at a uni or something like that, and really I was just lying to them because I was going to go play at ministry.
This is the best story I've heard in weeks.
They still don't know to this day, but
they do now.
Killa Kela podcast. KillaKelaOfficial.com.
Street Culture TV.
Beatbox created.
Killa Kela.
And we're here to talk about world music and street culture.
Killa Kela podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, Killa Kela podcast, live and direct, central London. Or as central as you need to be, could be, choose to be. You don't want to be anywhere else. So many podcasts, so little time. Well, thank you to everybody who's been sharing and caring from the jump, been a part of the journey. Okay, people, our sponsors, the mighty GKNIFTYHEADS, have 10,000 play-to-earn GraffPunks NFTs to give away. Get ready as London's white trash goes blockchain digital with Bitcoin Cash tokens locked into them to claim. Get yourselves over to the website GKNIFTYHEADS.com and play to earn now. We're just heading on to our own journey across the seas over to East Coast, New York, real time, to meet with a lady that came New York via Croydon, former BBC presenter, Asian Network and One Extra, collaborating record labels such as Mad Decent, Eaton Messy Records. She won the Best Awards, Brit Asia Music Award, Best DJ, Best Club DJ for that matter, and she's here. She was hip-hop originator. No one can duplicate her. Now pulling out some techno, it's TJ Kayper.
how's it going? You all right?
I'm all right now. I said all that.
You must have gone deep into your research to bring all that up.
Well, you know what, Kay? I mean, we kind of touched on it before we started talking, right, on here now, is the idea that we have a similar trajectory. We came up around the same time. So a lot of what I remember is just inherent in the history that I understand my timeline to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, you were just you were always about, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And like yourself, you were always about. I just saw you, so yeah, good times.
It's a beautiful thing. What brings you to New York? How did this all come about? Because, the last time I saw it, I mean, it could have been anywhere, to be fair, but, to jump to New York, only a few do that.
After I left the BBC in when was it? It was 2012. I was doing it. It was kind of like a weird time because the recession was. We were coming out of the recession, and people had money, and I started doing that whole kind of VIP celebrity circuit. I was doing the Box in London, and I was doing all them kind of places, and I wasn't really enjoying it, to be honest. It was just same thing all the time, and I was like, I've got to do something different. So I thought, let me try it out. I've been coming to New York since 2006 was my first gig here. I played at SOBs.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and after 2012 came, and I was doing all the VIP stuff, and I was also touring here in the States, but then I'll come here for 2 weeks, and then I'll go back home, and I just thought, it's probably a good time to move. So 2016, I was making tunes in my studio in Brixton and still doing the club DJ thing, and then we just decided I've done everything, so let me just try and go to New York. I got married.
Congratulations.
My husband's from Detroit originally, but he's been a New Yorker for 20 years, so I might try it out, and now I guess I'm 9 years in, so
9 years, man. That's so much. That's a long time. Do you feel it?
No, because I feel the pandemic, when I moved in 2016, I had to find my way because I suddenly realized that it's not going to be like the 2 weeks when I used to come here and tour.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh no, what do I do? Like, you know what I mean? So I was running myself in the ground, like just doing gigs here, like every single weekend, like 4 days a week. I'd be away and I'd be flying all over the country, and it was just killing me.
That's
And
real talk, because that is no mean feat. You know, even if you clear like 3 days in a weekend to DJ, that's a lot. To do 4 or 5 gigs a week repetitively, that's a killer.
Yeah. I mean, it was especially like traveling. Like, I think when people see DJs DJing, they forget about like the amount what it takes to get there to do that gig. You got to like, you know, the early flights and the missed flights and the delays and checking into hotels, and like, you know, it becomes a lot after a while. So
For
I was
sure.
just killing myself, and then the pandemic came, and I was like, oh, okay, now I can have a break. And then I ended up not having a break because like I ended up just streaming for 2 years. And
Wow. You got into the streaming thing, the Twitch thing.
yeah, like I had this sick flat in Williamsburg, and it overlooked the whole city. And it,
Woo!
like, you know how you see all these videos of these like in house parties and stuff that are on YouTube now.
Yeah.
I was like doing that at the beginning of the pandemic, and like people would just walk into my house and they would just be raving in my kitchen, and you know, that's fine.
Wow.
Years. But I didn't really feel like I had like a break. And every time I would stream, I'd be drinking as well. So like it was it was I didn't rest basically. And then yeah, I did after the pandemic, like I decided that I wasn't going to go back to playing like those kind of club gigs that I don't enjoy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just decided to switch it up, and I've always made house music, so like weirdly enough,
Yeah.
so
No, I get it, because there's some, you know, we all have our kind of, not even closet, you know, our our, our genres that we hold dear,
yeah,
just because we either grew up with them, or you know, a lot of my favorite music is pre-hip hop before I got into that. So I get it. Once you've got a passion for something, or you're returning to a genre that you love, you know, that shit's it's pretty fucking cool.
yeah. So yeah, I kind of like I did some stuff with Defected where I was like streaming for them for 2 years. But then, you know, I can't do that forever. So
No,
like I moved on from that. They used to watch my stream during the pandemic, and I guess they loved it. So they asked me to like do a stream for their channel.
that's so
Uh,
good.
I did. And it was good because it was like kind of educating me as well. Like I was finding all these tunes that I've never heard before. Like I'll go like deep, like digging. And
Wow.
it was really fun. And then, you know, I just decided that this is probably a good time to like kind of transition into just making music and doing what I want to do, like what makes me
Mm.
happy.
No, I get it. You know, it costs a lot to live in New York, and to make that career switch, particularly as you know, being an English woman in New York, you know, this is a real. It could be a juggernaut shift.
Yeah, it's
You
not
know,
easy. It's definitely not easy being out here. Like it's not cheap. It's
Mm.
not easy, and you know, not everyone could hack it, I think, but
Is it a
manage
mindset? Is it a mindset?
a mindset, like yeah, probably like I guess what like the New York hustle mentality and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if that will exist anymore. Like with with the way things are working these days. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I hardly go out my house. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
You mentioned that as well. I think the curious thing is, I know what you mean to an extent, because you know I've been out to New York, but I don't know what you mean so far as the experience of the hustle. You've been there for like 9 years, so it's weird, isn't it? How time you see like almost like a change of tide, change of attention, change of social behavior. And that's, yeah, I mean, you know, that I guess it's similar to London, you know, these cities, they always move and shift, right?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's okay for now. It's fine.
Can you see yourself being there forever?
No, no,
No.
I miss Croydon. Like I really do. Like I'm going back home in like July, and I like just want to like be at home. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, well, Croydon's changed a lot, hasn't it?
yeah, I know it's great. I mean, Croydon missed, you know, they missed like what do you call it? Like a rejuvenation, like you know when they update the town center and all that. I think
Yeah,
they
yeah.
a couple of times, like, and so everything still, all the buildings look like they were from the 80s still, like up until very recently, and now they've like started building all these new modern buildings, and
Yeah.
I think it's great for Croydon.
I like the
Deserves it.
80s look though. That's cool as fuck still.
Yeah. That kind of like weird kind of Berlin look, like
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, bit of Birmingham brutalism. Yeah,
yeah, basically.
yeah. It is,
Yeah,
but you're right. It's that Eastern Bloc kind of, you
yeah,
know, East Berlin style.
yeah. A little bit depressing, but also like, you know, it's kind of cool.
Well, home's home, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is where it all began for you. And hip hop was your calling, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think people to this day understand how young I was when I first started. I was talking about this with someone the other day, and I was like, my niece is now 19 years old, and I like knew what was gonna do when I was like 10. Do you know what I mean? And by the time I was like 16, I'd already done my first gig. By the time I was 17, already played at Ministry of Sound, and being from Croydon, like I thought, oh yeah, yeah, I'm like finally, you know,
Picking
gonna
up
make
speed, made it. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, you know,
It's funny because I often have this conversation with people, particularly, you know, for younger people. Maybe it's a problem that I have to face within me, but with my tenaciousness at the age that you're talking about there, it certainly mirrored that intensity.
mhm.
And then when I've got friends like you that are out there actively doing your at the same age with the same pace, same drive, I'm like, yo, that's not normal. That you don't get a lot of that, and especially nowadays.
Yeah. I think about it now, and I'm like, I'm shocked with myself, to be honest. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't believe I was doing all that, like, especially because my parents weren't into it and what I was doing, and they didn't really like, you know, me DJing and stuff. So like I was like writing fake letters to go and do gigs, and like pretending I was going to see see like a school or going to look at a uni or something like that. And really I was just lying to them because I was going to go play at Ministry.
This is the best story I've heard in weeks.
They still don't know to this day, but
They do
well.
now.
And like yeah, I was getting into a lot of trouble at school and stuff, like, and you know, just around Croydon, and you know, I wouldn't say I was hanging out with the wrong people, I would never say that, but like I just was getting into a lot of trouble. So
Idle
so
time.
yeah, with hip hop and DJing and stuff, it's kind of like gave me some focus, you know what I mean?
So when did you get your first set of decks? Your first set of turntables?
Um, I I I had one turntable, that one like Technics turntable that my brother bought me, and he because he was like trying to be a DJ, but he wasn't really committed,
Hmm.
and he would just buy like a couple of records here and there, and I always had a turntable in my house like
Mm.
since I was young, so like I kind of knew the general concept of like how to DJ without even like really practicing. So my
Nice.
cousin also gave me like a really shitty belt drive turntable, and we connected them together with like this little crappy mixer, and I
Wicked,
must have been
wicked.
like yeah, I didn't have like two actual 1210s, like two 1210s until I was 17. So I was
17.
just kind of DJing on random like people's turntables, and whatever my cousin would leave at the house, I'd hook that up and whatever. So
Yeah, I
it
get
was
you. You're just kind of mixing and matching, just getting the time in where you could, sort of thing.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. I mean, that's also a social aspect as well, because when you have other friends that are DJs, they tell you stuff, and then you start using their stuff, and then you build your own kind of you forge your way through a community, don't you?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of people that DJ in my family, but because my parents weren't into it, like no one wanted to like get into trouble with my parents, so like
Mm.
it would always be kind of like I never really got any help from anyone. Do you know what I mean? I just
Mm-hmm.
had to figure it out. So yeah,
But that's what made you unique, and still does make you unique. But for its time, seeing you work a club set the way you do for that time was quite it was quite forward thinking. It was just doing things, also doing things that to a lot of people would take them a good considerable amount of their career to do. You were just like boom, doing it, and that was appealing.
yeah. I always had to like. I felt like I was always the secret weapon for everyone. Like whoever booked DJ, they'd be like, "Guess what I've got?" Like, like bring me out the back, and it would be like, "She doesn't look like a DJ, but watch." Like, you know what I mean? And that happened a lot. You know what I mean? But yeah,
Stick with that for a second. So that happened a lot, and I know where you're coming from, because it's hard not to escape that. But that can also be because I go through it as well. You have to understand, I shouldn't really be a beatboxer, but I think that's part of the charm, isn't it? It's almost like an offensive. It's like boom,
yeah,
check this shit.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I used to DJ at Bungalow 8, I don't know if you used to come there.
Yeah.
Um, I used to DJ at Bungalow 8, and it was always like it just always felt like they were bringing me out just to like show off, and because there weren't other like to be fair, there wasn't a lot of girls in the UK. I don't think there was any, to be honest.
No, no, I can't remember. Maybe.
Sarah, but Sarah
Yeah.
wasn't a technical DJ, so she was more of a like I feel like she was more of a selector, and she was great and stuck to her guns. And then there
Mhm.
was me, who was just like bam 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 bam, bam. Like I had to be fast, and I had to like show off, and I hated it. I absolutely
So
hated
you
it.
didn't like it,
Yeah, I hated it. It was
really?
horrible. I hate people looking at me. I hate people like staring at me. Yeah.
It's the secret weapon thing. It reminds me of when Tony Vegas did the ITFs and he got on stage with his fisherman's hat, and they were just expecting the least likely performance that he ended up getting first place. But you're the opposite, where people they're intrigued off the bat. So I would imagine you that attention, particularly as you are a huge fan of that. Yeah, that must have taken a lot of getting used to.
Yeah, it wasn't fun, but then I got used to it. Like I was like, oh, okay, like this is just how it always is. And it wasn't until I started playing house where like I've actually saw people like stop staring at me and dancing. Like that I was like, this is what I want. Like I want people to like lose themselves, not stare at me. Like and wait for me to
Mm.
do something like what routine is she gonna do? What
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, because that also was the order of the day back then with the whole DMC era. Like there would be just like the chin strokers that are literally in
yeah.
front of the,
Yeah.
deck booth.
You're not better than me, and you're not better than that person. You're not better. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
everyone just shut the fuck up. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I kind of stopped playing hip hop. Although I do enjoy doing like a set here and there, but
Mm.
also like just playing the same tunes over and over. Oh my god.
Bass drop. That kind
Yeah,
of
yeah. Like
thing.
you can't do a hip hop gig and play like you could play obscure stuff, but like no one's people want to hear the shit that they know, right? So
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like with house and with electronic music, is sometimes you've got more freedom to play other shit.
Oh man, I can well imagine, and I respect DJs that have such a defined lane, the genre that they want to play, die hard to the core. Another good DJ outfit is Stanton Warriors, and the way they're like tooth and nail committed to breakbeat as a genre, things like that. I think that allows for experimentation. Like if you're DJing like the contemporary things like rock and roll, reggae, or hip hop, I guess it does kind of feel like you're a wedding DJ at the
Yeah.
most part. Just playing to the crowd all the time, right?
Bar mitzvah DJ.
Bar mitzvah DJ, yeah, totally.
Sure.
Totally. Tell me about the house and techno scene, because I don't know, man. When I was perusing around your Instagram, and I saw the sets you're doing and listening to the tunes you're spinning, and I mean it just there is a piece of my heart in New York that there's jazz, Frank Sinatra, there's hip hop, and then there is house, disco and house, which is that city was pivotal for that genre.
Yeah. I mean, it's a shame that. I mean, I could get into trouble for saying this, but it's a shame that like there isn't the same kind of respect for the music as there is in Europe, and it's a shame that a lot of the originals, like the legends, like have basically spent the last 20-30 years touring in Europe and forgot about their own like cities, and forgot about Detroit and forgot about Chicago, and
Crazy.
and because of that, I think there's a whole generation that that just didn't grow up like how we grew up in the UK, where we were exposed to all this, different music. So, I mean, of course, there's stuff that goes on, but it's nowhere near as close as how it is in Europe, like with all the festivals and
Yeah.
it's just a bit weird. But occasionally, like Louis Vega will be playing like under some bridge, and like and it is getting better now because of social media.
Yeah. Bit of Todd Terry and things like that.
Yeah. But I think there's a whole generation that missed out here in the States, and it needs to be built.
I always find my friend, graffiti writer Tizer, you must know Tizer, right?
Mm-hmm.
He once said to me, the cities don't need us. It'll churn you out and spit you out, and there'll be some new people coming in. But but when it comes to music, like you say, if you're local to that city, it's like I want to see PMD. If the tunnel was still the tunnel, I'd want to go. My first beeline would be like, right, where's the hip hop clubs? You just want. And it's sad to think that just because there's no supply and demand for those DJs, that they have to resort to going somewhere else, and then we get this warped perspective from the other side of the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. With hip hop, like in New York, though, like it's not how it used to be. It's like back in the day when I used to come here in the early 2000s, you would just walk out on the street and they'd be having a cypher, and it's not like some filmed thing. It's just guys on the corner having a little rap battle, and I hardly see that ever right now.
Really?
Yeah, unless it's like being filmed for social media.
Right.
But it's just that culture doesn't exist anymore, and it's quite sad.
It's sad.
That's what that's for me. That was one of the greatest things about living in New York.
Yeah.
About being in New York is that energy and that vibe, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Do you think that's gentrification? Does that play a part in it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think there's that, and I just think like obviously hip hop isn't where it was when we were growing up. So
Yeah. Things evolve. And talking of which, because I'm forgetting that I'm talking to a seasoned radio presenter here. It's like the diction on the voice. This isn't your normal DJ. Like, how on earth did that all come about?
Oh man. So I I don't know if you remember where like I used to roll with DJ 279 and Pogo and DJ Scully.
That's it. Big up them lot. That's
Yeah, yeah,
legendary names right there.
yeah, legend. And I remember Steve 279, he used to bring me on his show a lot on Choice FM. And he was like kind of like he's like that kind of like tough love kind of dude who would tell you like he would tell you the opposite of what you want to hear. And I
Yeah.
remember him saying to me one time, he was like, "You're never gonna be on radio. You just don't have it. You don't have the personality." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "You just watch."
Yeah.
And then look, we fell out a long time ago.
Right.
And that's that. But like,
Have you unfollowed out since, or you just don't speak?
I have no reason to. It's been so long. I have no reason to speak to him.
Gotcha.
But you know, like I do. I did listen to his advice back in the day. He used to say to me, "You got to pay your dues, Kayper. You got to pay your dues." That's what he used to say to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well. And then because I was doing a lot of gigs in the early 2000s as a hip hop DJ, and I was doing bar rap and all that, One Extra asked me to come in and do an audition for the hip hop show.
Mm.
Just started uni, so it was like
Wow.
what time's the show?
Yeah.
2 in the morning. What?
Shit, real, for real.
Yeah. So I ended up not getting the show, and Mr. Jam got it instead. And then a couple of years later, like it I kind of felt it was a bit racist, but they like Asian Network approached me, and I didn't feel like it was the right station for me because I don't play that music. So, you know, but I thought, look, it's an opportunity. Let me just get in there. And I did. And because I was the only DJ that was playing hip hop on the station, I would get all the One Extra like interviews as well.
Nice.
So whoever came through One Extra came through my show. And that was it really. And then I did some stuff for One Extra, and I did it for as long as I could. And then it got to a point where I was like doing all these like really big celebrity gigs. Like it was really weird. It was like it was almost like it was bigger than the station that I was on, like the stuff that I was doing. It felt
like Missy Elliott after parties sort of thing, or bigger like events like when you know.
No, I mean like, you know, getting booked to do like Gwyneth Paltrow's birthday where like Chris Martin like personally like he used to listen to my show like all the time, and he booked me as like her surprise or something.
Yo, that's crazy.
And like yeah, I was just, you know, doing a lot of kind of things that were way bigger than the station that I was on. Like I would talk about it, and it just didn't seem like I was on
something didn't add up. Something didn't match.
I was like, I can't like be doing bigger things than what the station's doing. Do you know what I mean? Like that doesn't make any sense. And and what I wanted to be on Radio 1.
Sure. It makes sense.
You know, that 2012 I left, and that was it. And then I just like DJ'd because I was so fed up of like being stuck in a contract where I couldn't take time off to go and do gigs. Right, I've got to make some money now.
Yeah, it's that as well. And going back to 279's instinctual response of you got to pay your dues. If you've got one foot in the radio thing, and then you've got the other foot with Chris Martin and Gwyneth Paltrow and those sorts of high life, it's almost like high life profiling stuff. I mean, you've got to make a decision. How long until you have paid your dues? You know?
Yeah, I remember Chris Martin said to me, he goes, yeah, I booked you because we love your show and we listen to it every week, and we just love like your mashup mixes and all that. And then I was like, I'm leaving next month, and he was like, oh, He's like, well, you can't do the same thing forever, onwards and upwards. And I was like, exactly. I
That's
was
so
like,
sick. We
yeah,
could have got really emo on you.
yeah, he could have, yeah, yeah. And then he offered me Lady Gaga's weed, which is funny.
Really?
He
Give us
was
some
like,
of this.
do you smoke weed? I was like, no, I was being professional. And he's like, I got some weed, like Lady Gaga gave me it like last night. I'm like,
Too funny. Yeah, man. I could never imagine. You've got great repute. What it does, it says on the tin, you're a sharpshooter. I can't imagine you getting wavy, or at least, you know.
oh, yeah, I get wavy.
Talk to
I
me. Talk to
stop
me.
drinking. Trust me, I am not a great person when I'm on tequila.
Really? And then none of us are, eh?
Like the Croydon really does come out of me if you give me alcohol. So I've tried to tame it.
Americans around you, just like, what the fuck's going on? What is this?
I get so offended. I cannot act. That's why when I go back to Croydon, I'm like, oh, my people, everyone fucking understands me.
Yeah, yeah. Get me to a kebab. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm of an age, I'm coming to the point now where I'm definitely going to wheel up on my drinking and these kind of like extracurricular habits. I'm not a party guy. Like, I don't go and do any silly drugs or anything like that. It's never been my bag. But, drink is always this, comfort blanket of some bullshit. And I still can't quite get my head around what the triggers are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's sometimes it's like the environment, isn't it? Like sometimes I need alcohol to be able to talk to people because I get like so awkward in certain situations. I'm like, please, someone just give me a shot so I can like
Tranquilize me, please.
so just don't feel awkward, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm working through it.
Yeah, no, I feel you, hun. It's not an easy ride, especially when you're DJ as well. I mean, I use the term PTSD loosely, but when you're doing so many gigs, and they come down afterwards, it's just like so like deflated and knackered, and you got to get your timekeeping back up. You got to be able to jump on a mix or a produced beat or whatever. You need some. I don't know. You need to be powered by something, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, one of the worst things for me was to like finish a gig and I've literally like just been going at it for 4 hours, like, and as soon as the night's over, the lights turn on and everyone's like, all right, see ya. And then I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
hold on, everyone else is drunk, and I'm like, okay, is everyone gonna hang out now?
Yeah, totally.
Like,
I completely relate.
yeah, I can't hear banging music in my. I'll literally go to sleep with banging music in my ear. Like it's
Yeah.
mad. So yeah.
Actually, when you're on that subject, sticking with this here, because there are some, there's some traits that are identifiable to DJs in their lives, things like playing the same songs as you mentioned, or going through, like you say, 4 hours of a circuit of songs, which is kind of an amalgamation of maybe 2 or 3 different templates that you would, at any given time you'd mix and move about. But this thing about the after effects, things like, just have a drink to declimatize, ringing in your ear, the tinnitus, all this sort of stuff. Like it's spoken within circles, but it's unspoken to the wider, audience of people. I don't think the monotony of that, as much as you love it, gets on top sometimes if people do, like you say, just disappear out after being in a full club and you're there on your ones.
Yeah, nightlife people, let's be honest, they don't care about anyone. Come on. If you're out on gear, especially in London, because what London, everyone's just like off their face. And no one gives a shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like no one cares about me. No one cares that I've been like killing it for the past 4 hours and everyone's had a great time and like no one's looking after me. So
no. It's a thankless task sometimes, isn't it?
yeah. and now these days you have to deal with so much more than just nightlife. People just putting bones in your face, and like I can't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. It's a mad one,
Yeah.
but with from the positive side of things, this whole techno genre lane that you've built speed up of, it's looking good at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I started sending music. I mean, he's one of my favorite producers. His name is Low End Activist,
Okay.
Jamie Ruff, and he runs Hypercolor Records and also Sneaker Social Club. And his other label is Sneaker Social Club, and I have a lot of respect for the music that he puts out on that label, because like when you go to a certain like label and every single track that label puts out is like sick.
Banging,
That's
yeah.
yeah. Um so yeah, I started sending him stuff like early last year, and I released some stuff with Hypercolor like late last year, and I'm probably gonna have some more stuff coming out. I'm working on an album for them.
Really?
They like it.
Wow, album two.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, this is a bigger journey, isn't it?
But all the foundation, it all comes from hip hop. Like I'm sampling breaks. Breaks is hip hop to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sampling breaks and cutting them up and all that. It's all familiar to me. Do you know what I mean? It's just And when I say
Yeah.
I like techno, but it's very UK. Do you know what I mean? It's like what I make. So
Yeah. Sometimes when you take little influences, I don't know, just subtle stuff that is in your constitution of creating, and you just put that into a genre, you're kind of creating hybrids and mixing things up to the only way that and that's what makes the whole proposition like unique, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah, and just being able to create a journey, like when you're DJing and stuff, that's an art, and really fun to do if you can do it properly.
Yeah, it's like being a script writer or anything, it's creating those arcs, those peaks, those troughs. I'm with you. I love that shit. I love listening to that shit.
Yeah, yeah. And I learned that from like I learned that whole concept of creating a journey and all that through like Jazzy Jeff, and he's a hip hop DJ. So like
Yeah.
he's someone that is a hip hop DJ, but like he creates moments. And
Yeah.
I learned that from him. Do you know what I mean? Like
Big up, Jeff.
yeah, he tells a story. So that's how it should be, right? When you DJ.
Without question, that's what makes the best ones stand out. And if you take away the monotony of like a standard club set, and you're in the position where you can really do that, experiment, in real time to an audience that's up for it. I mean, you can't bottle that. That's the shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the future. So the future's looking bright.
Maybe.
You're still thinking about Croydon, aren't you?
I do miss it, but I think like every time I go home, I'm there for 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go now.
Yeah. Nice place to visit, but you would want to. What album was that? That was Task Force.
Yeah.
Nice place to visit, but you don't want to live there. Yeah, that's like anything when you go back to your family's homes and stuff. But these things. Sentimental old fool am I. But when you are next in, Kate, please give us a holler. Tell us what's going on and where you're going to be and all that, and we'll definitely come and check you out.
Yeah. You still have your thing in Trocadero?
Yes, yeah. We've got the Arts Arcade. Yeah, you'll have to come through.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'll definitely pass by in July if you're around. Yeah.
100%. Tea in the pot, drinks in the fridge. Give us a call and we'll make it happen, Kay.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, and I absolutely love your backdrop. I've got wild envy for these records.
A lot of heavy records that ruined my back.
Yeah, because that was a thing back then, right? When you first started out.
Yeah.
Wow, geez, cool. No, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, okay, big up yourselves. Thanks so much for coming on board, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Killa Kela podcast, Our Latin was out of fashion, all right? Remember, crime don't pay, but neither do they, all right? Don't talk to anyone I wouldn't, and you stay lucky, people. Easy!